Well, how's it going, boys and girls? Welcome to another live session here in the studio. Y'all go easy on me today. Tracy's sick. I'm on my way to getting sick. I think even Nathan's sick, and he hasn't been anywhere near us. So I'm feeling pretty rough. But hey, I'm here, and we're going to get through this with a little bit of energy. Where is Nathan? Nathan is in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They're having an arena cross event. Nice, really nice venue. So if you're anywhere nearby, need to go check that out. If not, you can watch it on Fox Sports 1 or 2. But they probably will not do that or air it, not live, but they'll air it the next weekend. So if you're sitting around after suffering from your turkey hangover, that will be a good way to spend a couple hours. All right, on to business today. Well, I really don't have anything in the studio that I want to point out to y'all. Well, not yet, anyway. There's two back there in the corner that are going to be really interesting. On the table right now, that 1968 red CT90 that just kind of sits back in the background. I restored it back in like 1995, and I've never started it. So, there was some electrical stuff I needed to hook up, and maybe hook up a couple of fuel lines and see what it does. Want to see that happen? I was thinking about recording just a short on it and sending it out as a reel. So why did I never start it? I don't know. But I figure after 30 years, it's probably time to see if the old girl can come to life. That'll be interesting. But until then, let's answer a few questions, getting over to what was sent in this week. I didn't have a whole lot of time to read through these, so forgive me for not being completely prepared on today's pre-sent in questions. Art had asked me, John, I really need some help diagnosing a problem on my 2010 Honda GL 1800A-B. The bike was running great last week, and when I parked it in the garage yesterday, I attempted to start it in preparation for a trip scheduled for today to find out it won't start. Not always the case. When I turn the key, everything comes on as it should. The engine turns over like it always does, but does not start. I let it turn over several times. Then the PGM FI light comes on. Did not blink a code. It just stays illuminated. What else can I test to determine the problem before buying very expensive parts? All right. When you first turned it on, are you sure that you heard the fuel injection, fuel pump prime? That's one of the things you really need to listen for. Second, are you sure that you've got it in the run position on off? I can't remember which side of the handlebar it's on. Sometimes they'll get a little bit of moisture in there, and that they don't want to work. So run that back a couple of times, and if you've got any electronics cleaner, maybe spray it in there. That's kind of hard to get to, but see if that has any effect. Now, if she does have a problem other than that, you have to turn the machine over for at least 10 seconds before that FI light is going to blink any type of code. And 10 seconds is a pretty long time when you're sitting there just turning it over. Most people don't turn it over that long before they say, oh, well, the FI light is not sending me anything. So first, check your run switch. Then second, turn it over at least 10 seconds, and then count any blinks that the FI system may be trying to convey to you. Thomas Ernie asks, hello, I'm restoring a 98 YZ250WR. It won't start, but does backfire. Would it be a CDI unit? Are WR CDIs compatible with any other CDIs? No, they're not. And unfortunately, I did a quick search, and as you well know, that CDI is not available. Now, the only one I could find aftermarket, it was made by regulatorrectifier.com. But before you jump out and order one of those, pull your intake on there and make sure you don't have a cracked reed in there, because it sounds to me like it's trying to start, but a cracked reed will do what you're talking about. It's going to spit right back into the carburetor doing a backfire. So check and make sure you don't have a crack there, and that's really your issue. Terrell, he has a 2011 Speedster 150 Jetboat. Stator tests good, new rectifier, good battery, 3 wires from the stator around the connector and into the rectifier getting hot, and then the boat falls on its face. Are you absolutely sure about your battery? Because that stator, it's sending juice into the regulator rectifier, and its job is to, of course, maintain it at a proper DC volt, well, convert it into DC voltage and then hold it there. And if that wire is getting hot, that stator is really trying to push the power to it, and that would indicate that there's either a problem with the regulator rectifier, or there's something further down the line creating too much of a load for it to deal with. So do a full test on that battery. Now, beyond just putting a voltmeter on it, I think you need to test the battery and see if it has an issue. I've seen it get masked to where, yeah, it's a fully charged battery, but it actually had a cracked cell in there, and that you couldn't really see that just with a volt-ohm meter. I mean, with just a multimeter. Eliminate your battery. Make sure it's in good shape by having it, tested with a good tester like a Midtronics one, and then look further down to make sure there isn't another circuit on the boat that is dragging down the output of your charging system. Dan Mercer, question on an 03 V-Star 1100 makes a dragging noise when pushing or riding. It's not on a complete revolution. On makes a noise on the half revolution. I've run into this one time on a V-Star 1100. I think it was an 1100, may have been a 13. But point being, they're both belt driven, and it was making a dragging sound, and you could feel it kind of push back and forth because it was having extra tension on that belt. And it turns out that rear, I don't want to call it a sprocket, but that rear driven part of the belt was a little bit bent, and it was pulling it ever so often, every revolution a little bit out of whack, and that was causing that dragging sensation. So get her rear wheel off the ground and just spin it over and see if you can see any deflection on that rear sprocket. Let's just go ahead and call it that. And hopefully it's not bent, because if I remember correctly, that one piece was kind of expensive. Jay Phoebus, he has a pair of 05 Sea-Doo RXTs. And I'm not super familiar with the Sea-Doo line, but I'll do my best on this one. One starts and runs, but throws fault codes P334 and 335, which correlate to no camshaft signal and no crankshaft signal, yet it starts and runs. The other RXT will turn over but will not start and has no fault codes. I've tried swapping the MPEMs and ECUs, and both skis didn't change at all. Any ideas? Kind of defies logic, doesn't it? Had somebody else maybe looked at those pair of skis before you got a hold of them? Because here's my theory. I think somebody had already swapped ECUs and then put them back, because there's that one that was throwing those two codes that is running shouldn't be able to run. Not if you're not getting a camshaft or a crankshaft signal, it doesn't know when to to send the signal to send a spark. So more than likely they were swapped before. They've stored that code and it's never been cleared. So, but now it's sitting on a ski with with codes in it, but it actually runs because there's not a problem with the sensors. The other one, on the other hand, I think it's got more than a problem just in the sensors. I also think it may have a problem with its ECU as well, because it is not logging a code. And I don't believe, you said it didn't change at all. So that's my theory. I think somebody may have swapped them around, loaded those two codes into a good running ECU, and they haven't been cleared. And the other machine it's got some problems. Going to need to run down. I'll probably start with the crank and the camshaft signals on it, or the sensors on it. Massive Overkill says, hey, John, if you have the time and if your YXZ has a stock oil tank, it does. It's actually John's. Try using an RMAX oil dipstick and see if it gives you more accurate oil readings instead of the silly YXZ stock one. What's different about the RMAX one? Hey, I'll try it. Sure. But our director of operations in the back, that's actually his YXZ, wasn't mine. The CEO of the company asked me, well, John, you finished this thing. What do you want to do with it? And he had shown interest. And I said, just give it to John. So that has been his baby now. But who knows? I may order that RMAX dipstick and let him go home with it and see what he thinks. Then I'll report back. John SB 1550 asks, if I can get my computer to cooperate. I asked you a couple of weeks ago about a 2021 Honda Monkey and how to remove the fuel line so I can drain all the fuel out. Any special tools that I need? I thought I answered that one, John SB. The Monkey, it's not like the good old days where you just had a petcock and you could just open it up and drain it out. Of course, it's fuel injected, so its fuel pump is inside of that fuel tank. So disconnecting, I guess you could disconnect the fuel lines and have the fuel tank just pump it out, or the fuel pump pump it out. But that's going to be under pressure. So I probably wouldn't do that. What I would do, of course, it's not sitting behind me now, go and invest in a fluid extraction unit, because you'll find other places to use it, anywhere from pulling fuel out of a tank to helping you bleed brakes on whatever machine you're working on. Just feed the line in to the tank and just extract all the fuel out that way. That would be the way I would attack it if it were my machine. All right. Well, that's got us for this past week. Let's see if Hank has anything lined up for this week. Looks like he's got a few. Let's see what we got. Rusty Schmeckelford asked, what are we working on today, gentlemen? Well, I told you, I've got a 1968 CT90, ancient one that my family's owned it since new, that I restored back in 95, and I've never started it or restarted it. So we're going to do probably just a short reel on what it's going to take to bring her back to life. I'll probably get that finished up next week and maybe send it out on Wednesday before I head off for Thanksgiving holidays. Merkman 2.5 asks, can low fuel pressure cause my Ranger not to idle? Changed to Denso injectors. Oh, definitely. I would be surprised if it would even start with too low of fuel pressure. And the type of injectors, that's not going to change the amount of pressure coming in. That's just going to change potentially how much is getting pulsed through, or how much is getting the amount that's getting sent through, because a injector, it's not variable. It's just on or off, and how much fuel is sent in is by how quickly it turns on and off. That determines on how much fuel is actually getting sent through. Now, if you're going with a higher flow where it's got the bigger, let's call it the holes in the tip of the injector itself. Yeah, of course, it's open for the same amount of time. With a bigger hole, it's going to be throwing more fuel in. But to answer your question, can low fuel pressure cause my Ranger not to idle? Most definitely. Joseph Melt 6705, 2000 carbureted SV650. Got it running great at 2,500 feet, but won't idle on the mountain at 6,000 feet. What to adjust? Well, she's definitely needing, as your elevation goes up, it's sending in less air, so you need to drop your fuel a little bit, because it's drowning at that higher elevation. Because remember, you want your air and fuel ratio to stay consistent. And if your air is going down and your fuel staying the same, well, you can't control how dense the air is. You have to start adjusting on your fuel. So then you need to take out fuel for it to run at a higher elevation. Blake Miller, RMZ250 asks, he has a 2019 Suzuki RMZ250. Sat for 1 year, and I just replaced the shims to get it back in clearance, and now it starts and runs for about 20 seconds and then immediately dies. It's fuel injected. Well, adjusting the shims, your clearance on your valves, that shouldn't have hurt anything. But I find it curious that it's only running for about 20 seconds and dies. I almost wonder, well, that sounds like fuel starvation. So one, I'd check your pressure that your pump is able to send to those injectors. And other thing, make sure that you don't have any type of blockage on the vent system for the tank where it can draw in air. So you may just want to loosen up your gas cap. Easy to find out this is going to be the case. Loosen up your gas cap, start it back up, and if it doesn't die after 20 seconds, well, then you found your problem. But definitely check your pressure and see if it's just falling off. Could be a partially stopped up filter coming into the fuel pump itself. All right. Terrell J2T ask, 2011 Sea-Doo Speedster. Okay, I already answered that one. Yeah, I answered that one earlier. Hey, you didn't think I read the Ask Partzilla email, did you? Well, there you go. I did. All right, Logan's F1508 ask, trading for a 2019 Kawasaki 755 4x4 with 260 hours and 1,300 miles. What should I look out for? Are there any known problems on the Kawasaki? Not that I'm aware of, but you want to go through your basics. I mean, look at the front end, make sure nothing's bent. Check your arms, make sure there's no paint missing on the top side, because that would indicate that one of them has been bent. Look at the oil, smell the oil. Pull the old dipstick and see if looks like it's been just changed recently. And usually you can look on the inside. If it's got a bunch of brown, kind of varnish on the inside, that's an indication that somebody went a little too far before they changed the oil. I know that we did a video on evaluating an ATV, and you could apply that to your Kawasaki and just follow the tips and tricks that I show on that video. And Hank, if you've got time to find it, drop it in the chat. That way Logan can go straight to it. All right, Classic Repair 861 asks, I have a 1992 Honda CBR 600 F2 with 32,000 miles on it, and it has bearing while running. With the the clutch pulled, it goes away. I haven't seen any metal in the oil. Should I be concerned? So you're hearing the clutch make some noise when it's just sitting there running. When you pull in the clutch, it goes away. Could that be something severe going on in the inside of the engine? Well, you did the right thing by changing the oil. I wouldn't be concerned yet. As long as you're not seeing any shavings or any type of gold look or shiny look, or especially anything if you run a magnet over the oil, as long as it's not picking it up, I think you should be okay. And it's an older machine. It's going to be making some weird noises. 32,000 miles, I guess that's considered higher-ish mileage, but nothing I would be super concerned about. Go ahead and do another oil change on it and just keep on rolling. Valhalla Haylock 6118 asks, John, I've learned so much from you that it's brought income into my life. Thank you very much, John. Well, good. Good. That is why I do these, or why we do these things, is to pass on knowledge. And because I learn things from y'all every single day, because it forces me to do the research to try to figure it out if I don't know off the top of my head, which happens often. The Moto Mechanic 88 asks, oh, good, we're going way back here. 1971 Honda CB 450 working on, but they have changed the carbs to a pair of VM38 Macounings. What would you recommend on the jetting? Oh, brother. I wouldn't have any numbers just off the top of my head. I mean, if it sounds like you've played this game before, put it in the middle of the range that's available and just start adjusting back and forth until you can get happy with it. After, of course, you've synced all 4 carburetors. Isn't that going to be fun? I still have one of those syncing things with the little hoses where it just pulls it up and just get them to line up. Fun times, fun times. All right, Hank is telling me wrap. Yeah, we're right at 3:25. My voice is starting to go. So, are we off for next week? Yeah, looks like we're going to be off for Black Friday. Hopefully, we will see you in another week after that. So in 2 weeks. Well, a bunch of good questions today. I don't think there's anything I need to follow up on any of these. I'll go back and review this video later because, like I said, I do not feel well. So sorry you didn't get 100%, John. You only got about 75%. But hey, I made it through it. Well, everybody have a great week or great weekend this weekend, a great short week. Have fun with family and friends next Thursday, and then we will see you the following Friday. All right, once again, just appreciate y'all coming in, spending a little time with us, sending in some great questions. Be on the lookout for that arena cross next weekend on FS1 and FS2. Well, once again, all y'all just have a good weekend, and we will see you not next Friday, but the one after that. Y'all take care.